Anathema are a British progressive rock band from Liverpool. The lineup consists of singers and guitarists Vincent and Daniel Cavanagh, their brother Jamie Cavanagh at bass, siblings John and Lee Douglas, respectively drummer and singer, and keyboardist Daniel Cardoso since November 2012. The band was founded as Pagan Angel in 1990 by the three Cavanagh brothers, John, and singer Darren White, as a death doom band. At the time White was the only singer of the band. The following year, Jamie left and was replaced by Duncan Patterson. Under this lineup, Anathema released their first EP, The Crestfallen, and their first album, Serenades. However, White left in 1995. Vincent decided to act as Anathema's vocalist in addition to his guitarist function in the albums The Silent Enigma and Eternity, which were going into a more gothic metal direction. In 1997, John left the band, and was replaced by Sean Steels for the album Alternative 4. Both Patterson and Steels left the same year, replaced by Dave Pybus and a returning John Douglas, while former My Dying Bride keyboardist and violinist Martin Powell also joined the band. The only album released with this lineup was Judgment. The same year Powell switched positions with Cradle of Filth's keyboardist Les Smith, who joined Anathema, and Lee Douglas, John's sister, was added to the lineup as a backing and occasional lead vocalist. The band released their sixth album A Fine Day to Exit in 2001, turning to an alternative sound. Shortly after the release, Pybus announced his departure and was replaced by the band's original bassist, Jamie Cavanagh, reuniting the three brothers in the band for the first time since 1991. There were no new members in the band during 10 years, with the albums A Natural Disaster and We're Here Because We're Here being released under the same lineup, turning their sound even more into progressive rock. However, Daniel Cavanagh left Anathema from 2002 to 2003 to join Antimatter. Smith left Anathema in 2011, and Vincent and Daniel both assumed the function of keyboardist for the band's ninth album, Weather Systems, in 2012. The same year, Cardoso, the band's live keyboardist since 2011, joined as a full-time member. The band's 10th studio album called Distant Satellites was released on June 9, 2014 via KSCOPE. History: Early years, Anathema formed in 1990 as a doom metal band, initially going by the name Pagan Angel. In November of that year, the band recorded their first demo, entitled An Iliad of Woes. This demo caught the attention of several bands and labels from the English metal scene. At the beginning of 1991, the band gained a lot of attention with the release of their second demo entitled All Faith Is Lost, resulting in a 4-album deal with Peaceable Records. Their first release under the label was the Crestfallen EP in November 1992. They took the material from that album on the road, touring with Cannibal Corpse. Serenades, Anathema's debut LP, attracted a lot of mainstream attention, propelling their Sweet Tears music video onto the MTV playlist. Anathema's first European tour was in 1994, and was closely followed by gigs at the Independent Rock Festival in Brazil. In May 1995, vocalist Darren White parted with the band, eventually forming the Blood Divine. Rather than recruiting a new vocalist, the band decided that guitarist Vincent Cavanagh should assume White's role. This new formation debuted by touring with Cathedral in the United Kingdom. Mid-90s, the release of Eternity came in 1996, relying more on atmospheric sounds, and starting the transition to clean vocals. The album Judgment would later consolidate this style. A European tour followed the album's release. Your next member to leave the band was drummer John Douglas, who departed in the summer of 1997. He was replaced by Sean Steels, formerly of Solstice, who would also later play drums for My Dying Bride. Alternative 4 was released in 1998. During this time the band underwent many lineup changes. Bassist-songwriter Duncan Patterson quit due to musical differences and was replaced by Dave Pybus of Dream Breed, a band which Duncan had played bass for during a short period, and not long after this Martin Powell joined the band for live performances. Finally, founding drummer John Douglas returned to the drums in place of Steels. In June 1999, the album Judgment was released, marking Anathema's complete shift from the doom metal genre, focusing instead on slower and more experimental songs. This new sound has been likened to artists such as Pink Floyd, Jeff Buckley, and to a lesser extent, Radiohead. However, the essence of the band remained the same. Their songs continued to express a feeling of depression and, more often than not, desperation. Your next year Martin Powell switched positions with Cradle of Filth's keyboardist Les Smith, who came to be an integral member of Anathema. Alternative sound. Shortly before the release of A Fine Day to Exit, Dave Pybus announced his departure from the band and later joined Cradle of Filth. He was replaced by touring bassist George Roberts, and later by Jamie Cavanagh. In March 2002, Daniel Cavanagh announced his departure from the band, joining Duncan Patterson's band Antimatter. However, he later rejoined Anathema in 2003 for the release of A Natural Disaster, and started their European tour. This accelerated the changes in Anathema's tone, towards the atmospheric and progressive, as exhibited in album tracks Flying, and Violence. Upon the closing of their label Music for Nations after its purchase by Sony BMG, Anathema found itself without a record label, despite having completed an extensive tour of the UK with popular Finnish rock band HIM in April 2006. During their search for a new label, the band have adopted a more DIY approach to music release, embracing the internet and releasing songs via their own website, for which fans may donate a monetary sum of their own choice. Despite the obvious lack of label-based tour support, the band continues to play dates across Europe, guitarist Danny Cavanagh also playing the odd low-key acoustic concert. Progressive Stream. On March 20, 2010, Anathema announced on their website and Facebook page the release date of their next album. Their album We're Here Because We're Here was released on May 31, 2010 on the KSCOPE label. John Douglas' sister Lee Douglas joined the band in the capacity of a vocalist during the recording of this album. She had previously performed on the two previous albums as a guest vocalist. On July 6, 2011, it was announced on the band's official page that their album of reinterpretations, Falling Deeper, will be released on September 5, 2011. The album will be a follow-up to Hindsight and will contain new orchestral versions of songs from the past, as well as a version of Everwake featuring the vocals of Anak van Gisbergen. On September 12, 2011, Les Smith's departure due to creative and musical differences was announced on the band's website. On April 16, 2012, the band's ninth studio album, Weather Systems, was released via KSCOPE. The album entered the UK album charts at number 50 and the German album charts at number 19. On November 8, 2012, Daniel Cavanagh announces at Anathema's official homepage that Daniel Cardoso is joining the band as a full-time permanent basis as a key element of the band. On December 2, 2012, Anathema announced their first concert in India. Anathema has performed at IIT Madras as part of the Sarang Rock Show on January 12, 2013. The band's recent live album, named Universal, was released as a double vinyl album on June 24, 2013. The album is a recording of a special one-off gig at the Ancient Roman Theatre of Philippopolis in 2012, where the band were joined by the Plovdiv Philharmonic Orchestra. The set was released on Blu-ray, DVD and CD under the name Universal, with an alternate track order, on September 17, 2013. The band performed on drummer Mike Portnoy's Progression Nation at Sea tour aboard the Norwegian cruise line ship Pearl that sailed from the port of Miami on February 18, 2014. Daniel Cardoso, initially keyboardist, has assumed the role of drummer taking over from John Douglas who now plays percussion and keyboards. On March 28, 2014, the band announced their upcoming studio album to be called Distant Satellites. The album came out on June 9 on the KSCOPE label, and is produced by Christer Andre copyright Cederberg in Oslo, Norway. Several tracks were mixed by Stephen Wilson. Different from previous albums is the use of more electronica on this album. The album is released in 4 different versions, a CD, vinyl, media book, and a deluxe version. Tour dates have been announced starting May 22 in Istanbul, Turkey, then throughout Europe and 3 dates in August 2014 in Australia. Members, timeline. Discography. Serenades, The Silent Enigma, Eternity, Alternative 4, Judgment, A Fine Day to Exit, A Natural Disaster, We're Here Because We're Here, Weather Systems, Distant Satellites, References. External links, Anathema official website, official Facebook page, KSCOPE Music, official Anathema page at MySpace, reviews and interviews at Chronicles of Chaos, Anathema discography at Music Brains.